Thanks, guys, for that first carrier update this morning. Right now, let's toss it to our Detroit Bureau Chief Alan Adler coming in with today's top story. Waiting on Nikola earnings to hit. But until then, let's talk a little bit about Daimler and what they're doing to kind of position themselves alone from the competition.
Sure. Good morning, Kaylee. Yeah, Daimler on Friday, the Board of Management approved the split off of Daimler Truck as a separate entity, which will now operate all of the truck business and the bus business as one unit. That's not 100% there yet. You still have a shareholder vote in October, but it's going to happen, and more details are coming clear. They're going to capitalize the new business. With money to get it going. The real value in Daimler these days is in the truck business. That's where the most of the revenue and most of the profits come from. So I think what you're seeing now is a way to sort of unlock, as they say, some of that benefit that is kind of tied up with Daimler Truck being part of essentially Daimler AG, which is the Mercedes-Benz car business. It was a bit of a drag, honestly, and I think now that it will be free by the end of the year, it'll trade on its own. And I think that it's interesting that Daimler, which will rename itself Mercedes-Benz, will continue to own 35% of the company, but it won't do anything in terms of running it. But it will collect on the benefit, presumably the higher profits that the truck business can generate. So very, very different from the other big move we saw this year, which was Navistar kind of going under the fold of Traton. And becoming a division or a unit of Traton Trucks, which is owned by Volkswagen. So that's moving ahead. But yeah, we do have Nikola earnings out. So let's talk about that a little bit. They did beat on earnings at really, earnings per share, a 4-cent beat. That's great, but this is not a revenue generating company at this point. So it's really not that important. What is important that I saw quickly scanning the release that just came out is that they are actually building fuel cell trucks now in Coolidge, Arizona. The first 5, these are pre-production units, but they're starting to build fuel cell trucks there based on their cab over tray model. Also 2 battery electric trucks that they're building, in addition to about 14, I think I have that number right, about 14 trucks that they brought over from Germany that they're validating in various stages. So what's all this mean in light of all the Trevor Milton stuff last week with the fraud charges? It means, at least from all indications, that Nikola is moving forward with what it said it wanted to do, and that is, build zero emission trucks. I was told last week that really this sort of begins to lift the cloud over Nikola, even though it feels like it could get dragged down in it. It doesn't appear there's going to be any criminal charges filed against Nikola as a company. Probably should look forward to seeing some kind of fine from the SEC at some point for the things that Milton was involved with. But I don't think that they're spending a lot of their time worrying about this right now.
Good morning, Alan. Thanks for being on the show. And so, regard to Nikola. Pretty much, it feels like, and tell me what you're feeling. It feels like that separation between Milton and Nikola is this is kind of happening, right? Trevor's in some hot water. He's going through his indictment. Nikola's not going to have criminal charges. It wouldn't appear. Maybe a fine or two. That'll be a blip in a headline. Seems like they pulled away. Yeah.
I think so. I mean, this is still dragging on, quite honestly. It's in no way complete yet, but I think your assessment's right, Michael. I think what I've been told is that if you were going to go after the company, you would do it at the same time that you went after Trevor Milton. That didn't happen. And so at this point, I mean, you don't want to, it's sort of like they tell you, a doctor would tell you, well, I can't tell you for sure, but you look pretty good. And I guess that's kind of the way I'd put it for Nikola. Right now, their prognosis is good, but who knows for sure. I'm more encouraged, quite honestly, about what I'm seeing in the call here in just a few minutes with them. Starts at 9:30 Eastern time, and I'm real curious to hear more about the fuel cell trucks, because honestly, this is the business that they really got into. This is where Milton got in trouble, quite honestly. But they are moving forward, and it does appear that there's actually some activity now with fuel cells. So where are those trucks going to go? The first ones are going to go to Anheuser-Busch. That's sort of Nikola's real partner, if you will, in terms of having paid for, paid their way into the business. A lot of the other orders, may come to pass. You do have some stuff with Total, the French group, in terms of testing trucks. It was announced a while back. But I think what we're really going to look for now is can they make these things? They have finished the first half of the first phase of the plant in Coolidge, Arizona. They're continuing to build out the rest of the first phase while they're building trucks. So it's really pretty dynamic. Looking forward to getting out there and seeing it, hopefully sometime early fall. But it does appear that they're on track at this point.
Alan, so obviously you have a pretty deep hand when it comes to covering Nikola consistently. What have you seen the first half of 2021, and how do you think that that's going to impact them going forward? What goals do you think that they're going to hit by the time that the year is over?
Well, I like to use the term bunts and singles. So it's a baseball term, in terms of advancing base runners and scoring runs. And I think that's what Nikola is doing right now. A lot of bunts and singles, a lot of agreements. They've got to deal with Travel Centers of America to build a couple of hydrogen stations on property that TA owns out in California. They've bought 20% of a hydrogen operation in Indiana. They have done a number of things. It isn't a linear kind of thing, but it's blips here and there. And again, they're not going to build a nationwide hydrogen infrastructure tomorrow. It's a very expensive prospect. But you're going to start seeing, they say they'll break ground on their first hydrogen station in the fourth quarter. That's going to be in Arizona, where they've got a really nice, sweet deal for cheap electricity, solar generated electricity there. And I feel like, some of the milestones they've laid out, that's really all they care about right now is hitting those milestones. And, I guess you'd call it, I'm into cliches this morning, putting points to the board. I feel like that's what they're trying to do. Now, will they do it? I think so, but I don't know. But I do think that, as Michael mentioned, that the separation from Trevor Milton is nearing its completion.
Yeah, I mean, to coin a phrase, they need to play small ball, and they seem to be doing it quite well, just advancing the runners, like you said, right? Swinging for the fences is what Trevor was doing, and got him in trouble.
Got him thrown out in second.
Absolutely right. Thank you for picking up the metaphor there. I think that's right. I think he wasn't just swinging for him, but he was broadcasting as he did it. And one of the things the SEC said last week was that, Nikola tried the best they could to rein Trevor in, but they didn't know everything he was doing. And so it was, he was out there, doing whatever media work he was doing. He didn't need a PR person because he was his own PR person, obviously to his detriment, as we're seeing now.
So my question, Alan, though, going back to the trucks, like you said, Anheuser-Busch, and I guess Total's got a few. Are those hydrogen cells, and how are those going to run? If there's no infrastructure yet, and there will be. They're building it small, and they seem to have the right attitude now that it's just not going to appear overnight like they were magically going to do back in the day. What are those? Are they building hydrogen, like the fueling stations on site? Yeah, are those short haul trucks? Is that what they are?
Okay, so Anheuser-Busch has operations in Van Nuys, California, and in Chandler, Arizona, outside Phoenix, and of course Van Nuys is in the LA area. So that's going to be the first route. That's going to be the first sort of. Originally, it was going to be called a station pair. You were going to have a station at each end. Now I think it's going to be a station sort of, for refueling somewhere along I-10 or near I-10 in Arizona, so that you can fuel these trucks. Remember, this is going to start very small, and it's going to start. The testing and things like that. They'll be hauling real loads, beer, obviously, which is good. They'll be hauling real loads, but it's going to be a slow process. But getting these trucks underway in the fourth quarter, which they've kind of whispered they would do, but today they're saying they're going to do it and that they've already started doing it. So that's pretty impressive. I've actually heard it could be up to 10 trucks, but they're announcing 5 today. Of the fuel cell. Infrastructure will not be complete, but it will be enough to get by on. We'll see what happens going forward. I think we just have to remember this is a long play for Nikola and really for anybody in the hydrogen space, because you don't have installed infrastructure of any note anywhere. But you can get these trucks into and out of California on the hydrogen that you can pump in Arizona.
Alan, let's wrap this up with one last question about kind of the investor response to the news about Nikola and now their release of their earnings, the news of Trevor Milton. How has the stock market responded? How are they trading with this? And is their earnings release going to have any impact on that as well?
Well, you can't say what's going to happen. Nikola's been trading in something of a narrow band for a little while. It had a nice month where it jumped up to around 18 a share. I don't know exactly where it's opening this morning. I didn't look, but it took a hit when Trevor was indicted. Probably will get some of that back. One of the important things for Nikola, more than the stock price, Kaylee, is can they raise money? They did do $300 million in stock sales through sort of what's called a family office arrangement that they basically selling the shares at a slight discount. So they have some access to some money. They need a lot more, quite honestly, to keep the hydrogen stations and the production moving. About $1.5 billion is I think what they're going to look for in the market. Probably new share sales and maybe even some convertible debt. I would expect to see that happen relatively soon. There is a lot of money out there. I don't know what their cost is going to be. That's going to be interesting to see how much they'll have to pay to get it. But that's really the key right now is raising some more money. They need it.
Excellent stuff. Thank you so much, Alan. Go get ready for your earnings call. Can't wait to catch up with you and hear your assessment of that call. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
You too, Alan. Always good stuff there from him.
Oh, yeah. Very, very interesting stuff. It'll be interesting to see what that call is all about and how he breaks that down. But I think he's spot on. They pulled back, and now they're slowly building back that reputation. It seems like, they're getting there, which is good because we need this.
And eventually start scoring runs.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right.